All right, today we are diving into something really cool. We're going to break down the code for a project that, get this, teaches an AI to trade Bitcoin completely from scratch. We'll see exactly how a machine can learn its way around the crypto market, not by reading books, but just by learning from its own successes and failures. Kind of like we do. So let's just kick things off with this question. What if an AI could actually learn how to trade Bitcoin just by playing it like it's a video game? Seriously. No complex rules programmed in, just letting it play the market again and again and again until it just figures out how to win. Well, that's exactly what we're looking at today. The secret sauce behind all this is something called reinforcement learning, or RL. And honestly, the best way to think about it is training a dog. It's that simple. When your dog does a good trick, you give it a treat, right? That's a positive reward. And for our AI, a profitable trade is that good trick. If it messes up, well, that's a penalty. Do this thousands of times, and pretty soon, it just naturally starts doing more of the stuff that gets it those rewards. Okay, so our system basically breaks down into four main parts. First up, you need a game world, which is just our simulated crypto market. Then, of course, you need a player. That's our AI agent. The goal? Super simple. Make as much money as possible. And the whole thing is tied together by the learning loop. That's where all the magic happens, where the AI learns from trial and error. All right, first things first. Before our AI can even think about trading, it needs a sandbox to play in, right? A place to practice. So let's start by building its virtual world, which the code calls the crypto trading env. Now, this is important. This is not some made-up fantasy market. It's built using 60 full days of real historical Bitcoin price data. We're talking data points every 5 minutes. So what this does is give our AI a pretty realistic playground to learn in, one that's based on how the market actually moved. And just like any game, this one has rules. Our little AI trader starts with a cool $100,000. And to keep things real, it has to pay a small transaction fee every time it buys or sells. But check this out. The most important rules are these built-in guardrails. There's an automatic 2% stop loss if a trade goes bad and a 4% take profit if it goes well. This is huge because it's not just about managing risk. It forces the AI to learn how to win inside a really specific disciplined system. So how do the AI and this virtual world actually talk to each other? Well, it all happens in these little moments called steps. First, the agent chooses an action: buy, sell, or hold. The environment then executes that trade at whatever the current price is. Then it immediately calculates the profit or loss, that's the reward, and feeds the new market data right back to the agent. This little loop, it's the fundamental heartbeat of the entire system. Okay, so we've got our world all set up. Now we need our player. Let's talk about the DQA agent. You can think of this as the AI's brain. It's the part that's actually going to be making all the trading decisions. So this brain is actually a special type of neural network called an LSTM, which stands for long short-term memory. And its superpower really is understanding patterns over time, which is, perfect for financial data. What it does is look at the last 50 price points. That's about 4 hours of market history. And from that, it tries to make a single prediction. What's the one move I can make right now that will give me the biggest payoff down the road? And you know what? Its choices are dead simple. At any given moment, it can only do one of three things: buy, sell, or hold. That's it. The entire massive complexity of trading gets boiled down to just that one simple choice every 5 minutes. So how does it actually decide which of those three actions to take? Well, it uses this really clever strategy called epsilon greedy. And what that does is balance two things. Early on, it's in exploration mode. It's just trying random stuff to see what works. Kind of like button mashing in a new video game. But as it starts to learn, it shifts over to exploitation mode, where it starts using the moves it knows will get it those high scores, or in this case, the biggest rewards. And here's another key piece of the puzzle. The agent has a memory. It can store up to 2,000 of its most recent experiences. So every time it acts, it remembers the state of the market, what it did, and what the outcome was. This memory basically becomes its own personal trading journal that it studies to get smarter and smarter. All right, we've got the world, we've got the player. Now for the fun part. Let's put them together and walk through a single learning moment step by step to see how this thing actually gets smarter. Okay, so it all begins with observation. The environment hands the agent the current market state, that little snapshot of the last 50 price points. This is literally the only information it has to make a decision. The agent takes that data and feeds it straight into its brain, that LSTM network. The brain crunches the numbers, looks for patterns, and in this specific instance, it decides that buying is the most promising move. So it locks in its choice, buy. So the environment processes that buy order. Then the clock ticks forward 5 minutes. And what happens? Hey, the price of Bitcoin went up. So the environment calculates the profit on that move and sends back a reward, a positive one, of about $152. Nice. And this is the aha moment. This is where the learning happens. The agent takes that entire sequence of events, what the market looked like, the fact that it chose to buy, and the positive reward it got, and stores it right into its memory. It's basically created a new mental note that says, hey, when the market looks like that, buying is a good idea. Okay, now zoom out and imagine that exact process repeating thousands and thousands of times. The agent is just constantly taking actions, getting rewards or penalties, and filing away those memories. Then, every so often, it grabs a random handful of those memories and replays them to fine-tune its brain. This is how it slowly but surely teaches itself what works and what really, really doesn't. So now that we've walked through all the pieces, what's the big picture here? What did we actually just learn about what's going on under the hood? When you boil it all down, it's a pretty elegant 4-step recipe. First, we built a virtual playground using real data and real rules. Second, we created our AI player with a neural network for a brain. Third, we let them interact in this constant loop. And finally, driven by those simple rewards and penalties, the agent starts to figure out a trading strategy, completely on its own. And at the end of the day, this whole complicated system, the neural network, the memory, the simulation, it all boils down to one incredibly simple and powerful goal. It's just trying to get the highest score possible. And in this particular game, the score is measured in cold, hard profit. Which kind of leaves us with this big, open question. Look, this specific bot probably isn't ready to be unleashed on the live markets tomorrow. But the idea behind it, that represents a huge shift. So you have to wonder, are we getting a sneak peek at the future of trading here? Or are we just watching a brand new kind of financial AI take its very first baby steps?